Monique, welcome to New Bear. There's been a lot of talk recently and a fair bit of confusion about whether we tat left-handed or right-handed and how or if that affects the direction of our work. Let's explore.
The first thing I want to look at is how we wind and hold our shuttle. This set has been wound for a left-handed tatter. You'll notice the thread exits the lower left side of the shuttle. This set has been wound for a right-handed tatter. Again, the thread exits the lower right side of the shuttle. Does this detail matter? Maybe, maybe not. But it certainly makes things a lot easier. Because the thread is coming out here, so that's the bottom right side for me. Because it's coming out here and not up here, it naturally falls across my fingers as I work. It's in a comfortable position for me. I don't have to stretch all the way up here to reach that thread. The other advantage of this is that as I'm working the first half of my stitch, almost the full length of the shuttle is under my working thread, my ball thread, and through to the other side before this thread is going to clash with this one. We get the smallest amount of resistance. It's tricky to film. We get the smallest amount of resistance at this point when they do cross before we can bring our shuttle back. Working the second half, again, the position of the thread leaving the shuttle means it's already laying across my fingers. It's easy for us to grab that and make, what am I doing, second half, and make a loop and comfortably slide the shuttle through to make our stitch. If I wound my shuttle the other way, which technically makes it for a left-handed tatter, you can certainly do it, but it makes things a little bit more difficult. I have to stretch up to the top of that shuttle with my fingers. It kind of twists my wrist on a funny angle for me to reach that as I wrap my hand for the first half. The body of the shuttle is only part way through before these two threads are going to collide. So even though the distance from here to here is small, when you're stretching to make your stitch, that extra distance can make a big difference to the comfort of your hands, especially when there's so much repetition of the same movement. So can you tat if your shuttles are wound the opposite way to your dominant hand? Yes, you can. Doesn't matter if you work like this. Only the person doing the tatting can really answer that. Let's look at the direction of rings and chains. Being right-handed, I hold the thread with my left and work the shuttle with my right. My stitches are being worked in a clockwise direction. Therefore, my ring is going to close in a clockwise direction. Reversing my work. We have the same deal for my chain. Stitches are going to go in a clockwise direction. Snugging my chain gives me a clockwise curve. If I work left-handed and I apologise in advance. I can work left-handed, but it ain't pretty. See how I go. So working left-handed, I hold the thread in my right hand, work the shuttle in my left. You can see my stitches have been worked anti-clockwise, and then as we pull that ring closed, it's closing anti-clockwise. Reversing our work for our chain. I've got to cheat. We'll be here all day. Reversing our work for our chain is the same deal. My stitches, if I can get them on there, are going to go anti-clockwise. So when we snug our chain, we have an anti-clockwise curve. So when it comes to working a pattern, visualize working the elements. Which way are they going to go? If you struggle to visualize it, regardless of whether you're left or right-handed, get yourself a pen and trace the elements. I've drawn up a, let's be nice and call it a design. It's a little weird, but I just wanted something quick and easy which had a clover and two rings side by side. So we'll get to that in a tick. Now, there's no lettering on here because we're going to look at a couple of different starting points. So for the first one, I'll make this one right-handed. Let's make this ring A. We've already established that a right-handed tatter works rings and chains clockwise. Now this is where it can be a little confusing for newbies, because if you're tracing, we get to the base of ring A and then the chain curves up. It's going anti-clockwise. If we were tatting this, we'd reverse our work to make our chain. So flipping the paper over as if we were reversing our work, you can see the chain does in fact curve in a clockwise direction. Reversing again, we're working our ring clockwise. Reversing again, we're still going clockwise with that chain. When we flip back to the right side, our elements are worked clockwise, but the progression of our work is actually going anti-clockwise. If we got to this ring and we worked it clockwise, if our next chain happened to be coming down, we wouldn't reverse our work when we got to the base of that ring. We'd still be working our chain in a clockwise direction, but the progression of our work would then be going anti-clockwise. If a left-handed tatter started working at the same ring, remembering that all their elements are worked anti-clockwise, they'd work ring A, the chain, and go into the two side-by-side rings. Unless they started on what I'm going to call the mirrored ring, which is this one. If they started working this ring as ring A, they would then go into the large ring, the same as the right-handed tatters. So by starting on the mirrored ring, a left-handed tatter then comes into working the same element as the right-handed tatter, which can be helpful if you're trying to follow written instructions as well as a schematic. If the pattern's starting point was these two rings, right-handed tatters would begin on the left, working their rings clockwise before going out to their chain. Left-handed tatters would begin on the right ring, working their rings before going out into the chain. Our clover is the same. Right-handed tatters begin with the far left ring. Left-handed tatter would begin with the far right ring. So visualize what's going to happen with each element. If you're a left-handed tatter and you work this ring first, your threads are going to finish up down here. You're now on the wrong side to be able to work the middle ring of your clover. Okay, the last thing I want to look at is the direction our rounds go and why. This is one of my patterns. I'm a right-handed tatter, but it's not going to matter whether we're left-handed or right-handed or where we start, because this pattern is the same the whole way around, unlike this one that has the clover and the double rings. So if I'm right-handed and all my elements are worked clockwise, why is round 1 drawn anti-clockwise, yet round 2 is clockwise? Let's trace it. Ring A is worked clockwise. The chain, when we reverse our work to make it, is also clockwise. That means we're going this way. So again, like I said earlier, even though our elements are worked clockwise, the progression of our work is anti-clockwise. And that's to do with the shape of our chain. In round 2, all the elements are clockwise, but because the chain is curving up and I'm a right-handed tatter, it's going to curve clockwise as it's made. Round 2 has to be worked clockwise, firstly to give me the right curve to the chain, but also to allow me to join back to round 1. If this chain was worked anti-clockwise, it would be facing the wrong direction. A left-handed tatter would simply mirror the process. Their elements are worked anti-clockwise. But the progression for round 1 is clockwise. Round 2, again, the elements are anti-clockwise for a left-handed tatter to get the right curve to the chain and to be able to join back to round 1. Their progression of work is anti-clockwise.
So all the patterns I've ever seen have been written for right-handed tatters. That is to say, the direction of work has been written as if you are tatting right-handed. That is not to say that left-handed tatters can't make exactly the same pattern. Video tutorials are a little bit similar. The majority of tutorials are written by right-handed tatters. There are a few left-handed videos out there, but not many. If you are a lefty and you come across a video that's worked by someone who's right-handed and it's one you want to watch, just sit your iPad in front of the mirror and hit play. The image will be reversed for you. And that's it. I'm off to practice my left-handed skills. I said I could tat left-handed. I didn't say I was good at it. See you next time.